I'm Michelle Elliott, and this is our first podcast. It's Say What You Want About Real Estate, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Kristina Rodgers. And Kristina, how did you get started in real estate?
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I got started in real estate 9 years ago. I had come from the corporate world, and I'd gotten laid off when I had my little on the way. And I've always had a real big interest in real estate, and so I decided I'd give it a try.
Okay.
And see, I said, I'll do this until I'm unhappy and I'll go back to the corporate world, and here I am.
Okay, sounds good.
Still love it.
And Kristina and I have known each other for almost 10 years, right?
Yeah, almost 10 years.
And I say when I first met you that I thought you were always going to be good. What did you say?
No. You told me to run.
Well, I mean, I may have told you to run, but I thought you would be good at it. I just didn't know if you would want to do it because you know how crazy real estate is. Now you know how crazy
Now I
real estate
know.
is. Yeah.
Definitely, it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
I think everyone thinks, oh, I'll be a realtor. It'll be super easy. Like, sure, the test is easy. Great.
Right.
The hardest part is working with people.
Right. Well,
the best part is also working with people.
True. That's true. And scaring up the business, really. Like, it's not like you just show up one day and then you have people that are like, oh, yeah, knocking down your door to sell you a house, right? Or for you to sell them a house. Yeah.
That's the part I don't think people realize. So
Yeah.
when I started, as you know, I came from corporate, very structured. I liked having those kind of, benchmarks of like you go into the office. So I'd go into the office from 9 to 4, 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I started part-time until I got busy enough to be there really full-time.
Yeah.
And everyone would be like, what are you doing? And it's like, you got to get the business from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's just calling you. Your phone doesn't just ring,
No,
as
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I totally get it. So, I mean, for me, I started in real estate. It's been almost 20 years now. So when I moved here, I'm originally from the DMV, which is Washington, D.C. area, as you know. So I'm from the Virginia side. And shortly after college, I started to get my real estate license. I wasn't sure. I was like kind of weighing real estate or law school. I'm kind of glad I didn't go to law school. So I certainly don't have the loans for that. So I'm happy about that. But I was not sure what I was getting into in real estate for sure, right? So you start, and like for me, I had no idea. And I was young, I was 29 years old when I started. And then I got pregnant, and I found out basically the first week that I started in real estate that I was pregnant with my oldest child. So we kind of started like a similar path in that way. Our kids were little when we started, and we were young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you had work experience before. I mean, I have been working since I'm 12, but not like corporate work experience. So this was very different. Although my family has run businesses for my entire life. So my mom had a business for 40 years. So entrepreneurship is definitely in our family lineage. So I have that going for me. But other than that, I knew nothing about real estate. Love houses, love people. So that worked out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a plan. It wasn't like a big plan.
Yeah, this wasn't the plan either. I thought, I'll go back to the corporate world eventually. But kind of as you said, like having young kids as I was getting into the business, I realized I could have the best of both worlds and that flexibility that allowed me to prioritize my family, but also eventually it became a full-time business.
Right.
This is obviously all I do now.
Right. I mean, full-time plus, right?
Right,
You're working
exactly.
weekends, you're working nights, you're working on vacation, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Life
that's
of a
when
realtor.
all the good deals happen, the minute you get on a plane.
All right, absolutely. So let's get into our first topic. It is, where are all the first-time home buyers? So I'll let you start. What's your experience been with first-time home buyers in this market?
My experience with first-time home buyers is over the years, I've seen a decline in first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that specifically for us is, being in the Bay Area, the single-family homes are just high cost.
Mm-hmm.
So the down payment that these guys need to save, I think is what's kind of holding them up a little bit.
Yeah, and NAR just had a study that said the average age of a first-time home buyer is actually 38. So just a few years ago, it was 32. So that's kind of ticking up. And I think in our area too, it kind of takes a lot to get, your career up and going to get that down payment. So that takes some time. A lot of our workers here are tech workers. So they have to be at their companies from, for quite some time to get that, stock to kind of vest and go through that process too.
Yeah, I see my tech workers that begin to buy homes usually once they've been somewhere for 5 years and now they've got their compounded stock. And so that allows them to really, I do think that their first time homes are probably at a higher cost than what we're seeing, although what's changing is the age at which first time home buyers
Right. So that's
are coming into the market.
So I think that's playing a lot into why our home buyers, our first time home buyers, are waiting longer. And that is what you touched on just there, which is the cost. So our cost here in San Jose is about 1.5, almost $1.6 million for your average home. And I know for a lot of my first time home buyers, I'm seeing that they want a single family home. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, my single family, my first time buyers are more interested in single family homes than in the condos and townhomes. And they would rather wait until they're able to move directly into a single family home.
Yeah. And to me, I'm assuming that's a function of them being older. So I'm thinking, once you hit your mid 30s, you don't want to kind of go backwards in life and you're done with the apartment living and that type of thing. You want a different lifestyle, right? Mid 30s, if you're with someone, you're possibly thinking about having kids, certainly people are thinking about having a pet. So that probably doesn't go with that condo lifestyle, which is, I think, the reason why you and I advocate for purchasing younger, right? So I know it's intimidating, but we both definitely believe in purchasing younger because it gives you that runway in your lifestyle that you don't have to change that. You don't have to kind of go backwards. So I'll give you a good example. So right now I have a condo that is on the market. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. You saw it. It's downtown, right? And it's not remodeled. It's in original condition, but it looks great. Something definitely livable. It's nice and clean, as we say in the real estate business. And I think it's in a great location. It's by San Pedro Square. So it's walking to lots of great things, and it's a great commute location to get to Mountain View, Sunnyvale, Palo Alto, those places where a lot of our tech workers work. And a lot of people are working from home too. So you possibly could use one of those bedrooms as an office. But I think if you compare that home in terms of what your mortgage payment is going to be. So I had my lender run numbers on it. We can do a 3% down in that community. And that's around $22,000 ish. And then you could, the payment would be about $4,500. So I'm thinking between like $3,500 and $4,500, that's basically rent here, right? For
That's
like a 2-bedroom.
pretty reasonable. I think that's excellent. That's what you'd be renting anything else for. I'd say that's the average range for 2-3 bedroom.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, and an apartment complex, right? So, I mean, in this case, you would kind of be missing some of the amenities, perhaps like gym and pool and things like that. But I mean, I think you can pay for that outside if you need that. And a lot of people have that through their jobs. Do you really need that at your apartment complex? So
most of my tech workers will tell me that they have a full gym, medical facility, a lot of those perks being here in Silicon Valley.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, if you get in when you're younger, that gives you the flexibility to keep that property, I think, longer because you don't have those lifestyle changes that we see for people in their 30s and things like that. Yeah. We're seeing super low inventory. I think that's also, part of the problem too. So a lot of our buyers, they want to buy something, but they just don't see something that they like. And that's something that we've been dealing with, not just here in our area, but all over the country. There is low inventory. So tell me what you're seeing in terms of like low inventory and how that's affecting your buyers and how they're feeling about the real estate market.
I think that the low inventory is problematic in that, I think we hit historic lows a couple years ago with interest rates being in the 2s. And so I think we have two things going on. I think number one, sellers are sitting in homes that are possibly too big but don't want to downsize because they're locked into such a low interest rate.
Right.
And on the flip side, I see my buyers hesitating to get into the market because they're wishful that rates will go back to 2s.
Right.
And the reality is those are historic lows for a reason.
Yeah. There's no way we're going back to 2s.
I think we looked up today and we were about 6.58 for interest rates. I think I was seeing that that's the lowest we've hit since October last year. And I don't see us going down anytime soon. And so
that's about the historic average is about 6%, 5-6%. So we're nearly right in that kind of ballpark of where we usually are.
And you nailed it. That's what I tell my buyers. We're still at an incredible rate.
Yeah.
And so we joke, right? Marry the house, date the rate.
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
can always refinance later.
Yeah.
But when things are sitting a little bit longer, this is an opportunity for buyers to get into the market and start growing their equity.
Right. Absolutely. I'll tell you a funny story. So my parents purchased our first family home that my sister and my brother came home to, and the interest rate that they paid was 20%.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
in the 80s,
Mine will
right?
tell you that too.
Yeah.
They were over 20%, I think, on their first home. I
Really?
think around 22.
Yeah, right. So when you're saying it is like a reasonable rate, like historically, like rates can be higher than this for sure, right? So we want to keep that in perspective. And the thing is that if you think about, okay, well, that's like, I don't want to pay so much in interest, right? Like it's a kind of a, tough nut to swallow. Like that's a lot compared to 2%. But the thing is that they may come down some, right? So if you're paying 6.5 now and it, kind of comes down to 5, you can always refinance and get that lower rate. My dad always says the way that they paid for our private schools, the rates kept coming down, right?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of built in this little savings plan for yourself because you can afford the payments right now. So if you can afford the payments and the interest rates start to come down a little bit, then that makes things more comfortable for you, right? You're going to grow into that payment a little bit.
Exactly. And I've never heard anybody say, I wish I didn't buy.
Yeah.
It's always, I wish I bought sooner.
Absolutely.
And they wanted to buy when homes were at 2%, but they weren't doing it then. And now that we're in the 6s, they're like, oh, we should have bought when it was at 2. So
Right.
it's always hindsight.
Right. But you know what we say about that? The best time to buy real estate was 10 years ago.
Exactly.
But the second best time is
It's
today.
right now. Let's go. Let's find it.
Right. I'm seeing tons on social media about there's, lots of influencers out there saying, don't buy a house. Don't buy a house. Renting is where it's at. Don't buy a house. What do you say about that?
I mean, I think that's difficult. I think I hear a lot of the influencers saying, don't buy the house. I think depending on where you live, your cost of living, I think the young people want to travel right now. They don't want to lock into a large mortgage, but here's the reality is you're going to build your equity. And so over time, buying that house can be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, renting right now and traveling all over the world may be fun, but do you want to do that forever?
Right. And so what do you say to people? They say, I can just invest that money into the stock market. I can just invest that into the stock market. Like, it's not about my lifestyle. I'm not tripping all over the world. It's about, one investment is better than the other investment. What do you say to that? I could just put it into the stock market.
I mean, if you look historically at what's happened here in the Bay Area specifically, I would say, you know what? Buying a home is low risk.
Right. Because the prices have historically doubled every 10 years.
Every 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back and
To the 70s.
To the 70s, yeah, absolutely. And this is what I tell everybody who relocates here. I tell them, you're new to the Bay Area. You don't know if you want to be here. It is expensive. But we have one thing that sets us apart, and that's our ability to grow our equity in our homes.
Right.
You don't get that everywhere. If you're not sure if you want to be here, you buy a home instead of renting.
Yeah.
You sell it in 3 years if
Yeah.
you hate it here.
Yeah.
You walk away, you didn't lose money, you didn't make money.
Yeah.
But if you rent for 3 years and you decide you love it here, you've just wasted 3 years of rent and
Yeah.
equity.
Right.
You stay here for 5 years, you decide you don't like it here, great. Sell your house, move away. You've now walked away with money in your pocket. But the sweet spot for Bay Area is that 7 to 10 year mark.
Right.
Some homes have doubled in 7 years.
Yeah.
And most homes are absolutely double by 10 years.
Right. Of course, not a guarantee, but that's just what we have been seeing.
But the analytics show us that it's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've never not seen that,
Yeah.
basically.
And I just had a family do that recently. So they moved here from, I want to say Minnesota. I honestly can't remember. When they moved here, they said, hey, we want to live free for 2 years. Okay, that was their goal. They want to live free for 2 years, and then they want to go and live on a lake somewhere. Okay, so they did just that. So the mom took a job at Apple. She worked at this job. She was told, she took it in COVID. This is kind of a typical story. She was told she could work from home, and then Apple decided, no, everybody's got to come back in. So they made the choice, all right, she's going to keep her job at Apple, but just for 2 years. They want to be back with family, right? So they basically did not pay anything for 2 years because they broke even, right? And they only stayed 2 years, right? So the thing about rent, and when people say, okay, well, I'm just going to invest that money, you're not going to invest the money that you're paying on rent. because you have to pay that to your landlord, and you are paying off your landlord's mortgage and not your own. So when you're saying I'm going to invest that money, what you're saying is I'm going to invest that delta between what I'm paying in rent and what I have kind of left over between, you know, what the mortgage payments would be, right? And I think the other thing too is that people are not doing like an apples to apples comparison where they're thinking about, well, renting is super cheap compared to purchasing, because you're thinking possibly in your mind, okay, well, you know, I want to rent, you know, a house, and a house could, you know, potentially cost me, you know, 1.5, 1.6, you know, $1 million to get into a house here, especially in South Bay, right? Which is one of the most expensive cities. Actually, I think there was a report we are like actually the most expensive city recently. So, and it's hard. I totally understand that. But if you're, you know, you're comparing that to you're living in an apartment now and you want to buy the single family house, yeah, maybe that's not within reach, right? But you're also not renting a single family house, because that's going to cost you like $7,000, $5,500 to $7,000 is what I'm seeing in the nicer neighborhoods, right?
That's exactly what I'm seeing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that, you know, when you're saying this idea of saving, you have to think about what that rent, you know, is going to cost you, because that is just completely cost that you're never going to see again. And I think a lot of these you know, influencers and people like that are saying like, you know, renting is so much better. I think that they don't, you know, live here in the Bay Area. So a lot of them don't have that same phenomenon. And I see them doing calculations, and a lot of it is like with the 2% appreciation. You know what I mean? So,
well, and that's what I tell my clients all the time. Like I'll have clients that say, I want to buy an investment. And I'm like, well, what's your goal?
Yeah.
What's your goal?
Yeah.
Is your goal the long game?
Yeah.
You want equity, or is your goal you want to be cash positive?
Yeah.
Because those are two very different things.
Right.
And if my clients say, I want to be cash positive, I said, great, go buy out of state.
Oh.
Where do you want to go?
Unless you have a bigger down payment.
Well, I mean, it's pretty hard to be cash positive here.
Yeah, right.
Because a down payment here is a house somewhere else.
Right, yeah.
And so I have a lot of clients that do investments, and when they want to be cash positive, they buy out of state. But when they're tired of owning a rental and they want to sell it, they really don't make a lot of money from the sale.
Well, yeah.
Because they don't get that appreciation and equity that we do here in the Bay Area.
No, absolutely.
We are a long game.
Yeah.
So you want to grow your equity, you want to double the value of your home, you do it here, but you're going to have to hold on to it for 7 to 10 years in order for that to happen.
Right, absolutely.
But what happens in 7 to 10 years? Life changes.
Right, yeah, no, absolutely. I think too, you know, one of a realtor I really respect here in the Valley, she told me a story over time. She's like, oh, I have a great little investment over in Campbell. I was like, wow, good for you. You know, you must have made a killing on that. She bought in the recession. She said, well, I learned my lesson. You know, she said, because in years past, I made mistakes. She said, I've purchased in Texas and in Arizona, and it's exactly what you're saying. They don't make any money on the equity, right?
There's no money in the equity because it stays pretty, you know, pretty level.
And you could be cash flow positive, but again, I mean, you're not going to get these huge numbers in rents anyways, right? So the little amount that you do make, you may have to invest back into the property to keep that afloat, right? Because you're going to have costs associated with that. I think too, if you're looking for an investment, I think condos are a great investment, honestly. So, because you're going to get closer to that cash flow positive number. But remember, if you're going to rent it out, I mean, you could write off any negative that you have on your mortgage payments too. So there is that, right? You have a write-off. A lot of people need a write-off anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Kristina, you're going to laugh about this one. Okay. The other thing I'm seeing on social media is a lot of people blaming the boomers. They're like, this is the boomers' fault, right? The boomers had everything. It was so easy for the boomers to get into houses. It was so easy, and now it's terrible for us, and they haven't left any for us. But I did hear a talk at the National Association of Realtors. There's an economist that was talking about the size of the generations. And we all know the baby boomers are huge, but millennials and Gen Z are more. And they're certainly more than Gen X, right? And obviously we're losing baby boomers pretty quick here now. But for Gen Xers like me, I know you're a millennial, we're a smaller number, right? So if you guys are coming online now and you need housing and we're over here like, well, I'm not going to sell my house because I have a 2% interest rate, that is also contributing to low inventory, right? So there is some kind of a generational, issue happening here when it comes to young people kind of trying to get into their first property as well. What say you about this, about the baby boomer thing and all that?
I mean, I think that's really tough. I think you've got that lower inventory, and so it's causing us millennials and youngers to really have to compete. You hear a lot of times, oh, this home went way over. Well, what I'm seeing is that the homes that are going over right now are the ones that are turnkey,
right?
The ones that don't need any work.
Yeah.
So
we have to maybe lower the expectations a little bit, right? So we're not going to maybe get exactly what we want straight out of the gate, right? Because that's, not doable. But I will say both you and I, our first single family homes, for sure, were fixers, right? You had to do a little fixing on yours. Yeah. I think people have kind of lost their kind of zeal for fixing up a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think people don't want to put the time into that. And what I try to remind my buyers is what is most important is you want the maximum equity. You want it to double in 7 years. Your number one priority should be location.
Yeah, right.
Who cares what the kitchen counter is?
Right.
Who cares if you have the original bathroom?
Right.
Your value is going to go up higher if you choose on location. You can change anything you want in a house.
That's what I always say too. You can change everything else. Pick the location, you can change everything else.
You got stock and you want to do it all at once, have at it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you don't, then do it one area at a time.
Right.
You'll get there.
Right.
And you'll be glad that you chose location over aesthetics.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Right. I mean, and there's things you can do, little fixings that we do all the time for our sellers to kind of, spruce up the house in the meantime until you get those new stock grants and you can, wait until those vestings come along to pay for a new kitchen or whatever may have you.
And kind of to talk up also, one of the things I was saying before is like life changes.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't end up fixing everything, but guess what? If you chose your home on location, it doesn't matter if it's dated. Guarantee you it's going to sell.
Right.
It's still going to sell because it's in the right place.
Right. It's in the right location.
So maybe you end up moving before you get a chance to remodel. Well, maybe you're moving because you need more space. So life changes. So you take that equity from that house you never remodeled, and now you have more to go towards your down payment, or now more to go to renovate your forever house or whatever it may be.
Right. That's the other thing when you're renting that you need to think about too. I know when people do these scenarios, they're thinking about, okay, you're living in one home forever, or you're renting at some rate forever, or it's going up 2% or something like that. Mostly people move, right? And the big advantage to owning over renting is you do have that equity that you can take what you've paid off and what you've earned in market equity. You can take that and you can purchase your next property with it, right? So you get on the property ladder, which you don't have something like that when you're renting.
And I think, one funny thing I found with my buyers is I have buyers that are renting but are looking at purchasing. And the hardest thing to be gentle about and candid about is this. It's like, I show them the house and they're like, but it's dated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the location is amazing. You've got everything you want. You're going to grow your equity. This is a responsible choice.
Right.
Well, this is exactly like our rental.
Right.
And I'm like, dated?
Right.
So you can pay the rent on a home where you're not building your equity, but you can't live in a house that's the same condition that you're going to own and grow your wealth with over time.
Listen,
We got to adjust our expectations.
we have to adjust our expectations. And I think too, if you think about, if you purchase something that doesn't have the best aesthetics, right, you're going to pay yourself what, a contractor, you would pay them to fix up your house, right? So you are going to make that money for yourself, right? So that appreciation that you're going to get is completely your own. You don't have to overpay for somebody else's work, which is not going to be the work that you want anyways, right? Just because it's done doesn't mean that's exactly what you want, right?
And that's where I tell my buyers, I love an original home, or I love a home that has not turned over for those exact reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, even if it's dated, if the work they have done is quality work, great.
Yeah.
You know you're not going to find any surprises. When a house has turned over a bazillion times, you got this section that was done very well by a great GC, you got this section that was DIY, and now you're fixing things and they don't realize the cost until they start opening up walls.
Right.
And so, again, like you said, the house can be redone, but they may not love everything about it.
Right.
And
you
so
may
they're
have to
going to
fix
rip it out
anyways.
anyways.
Yeah. And
So
also,
are you really saving money?
And a cheap flip is a issue too, right? So there's a lot of really shoddy work out there, right? Yes, it's done, right? It's got your, quartz countertops or, what have you, but it's probably not done to the standard that you would do it yourself. So I'm not sure that long term you're going to live with those finishes anyways, right? So you might as well pay yourself when you are paying someone to do the work, right? You're not going to pay the contractor after they've done all of that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Better to just make it your own.
Right. So when I bought 2 houses before I bought my single family home, and my second house was a townhouse, and it was brand new from the ground up, right? Everything was new, and it was about 1,400 square feet. And I remember when we bought this single family home, my dad said to me, "How much bigger is your house?" And I was like, "Oh, it's not bigger." So, I mean, those are the kind of sacrifices that we need to make. But I think long term, that's definitely going to pay off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, same. We went from our first single family home to our desired area location. We love where we live. And yeah, we went from 1,860 square feet to 2,200 square feet, and everything was, multiplied in terms of cost. And
Right.
again, it was worth every penny. Our priorities were location and our children's schools, and
that's not a huge difference in square footage.
We love the peace and quiet, but yeah, our upgraded house cost a whole lot more for 300 square feet.
Right. Right.
And I still think it's worth every penny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's in the right location.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
The house was original 60s.
Yeah. So
it needed a lot of love.
my house had saloon doors and pink carpet.
Oh yeah, I had a Cheers swinging bar door.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
We had a
so-
wet bar because those were really cool in the 60s.
Oh, nice.
But now, it's exactly how we want it.
Yeah.
And we bought from an original owner, and so she hadn't done much, but what she did do was done well. It was livable, but we chose to change that.
Yeah. I think too, a well-maintained home is what you're looking for when you're looking for a fixer-upper. So my house was well-maintained in terms of just the systems of the house. The
Yeah.
roof was good, the plumbing was good, there was nothing major that needed to be done. We didn't need to do a sewer or anything like that. So it was mostly just cosmetic things. We didn't even, actually no, we did put in a new HVAC, I lied. Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
because what people don't realize is that those systems are what make your remodel expensive. So like, if aesthetically it's beautiful, but you've got galvanized plumbing, you're going to end up having to go to copper plumbing. And what does that mean? It's
Right.
in your walls.
Right.
You're ripping the whole house apart that's pretty much new.
Right.
Same thing. Our fixer was in beautiful condition, totally original 60s. I'm talking like the tile, like everything, even the asbestos, you get it all. But it had new copper plumbing. The HVAC was newer, like you
Yeah.
said.
Mhm.
The furnace, the AC. We had a couple-year-old roof. So the expensive parts that you don't see, those were taken care of.
Right.
The problem was aesthetic.
Yeah.
It was functional. We just didn't like it. There was
Right.
nothing wrong with it,
Right.
per se.
Right, absolutely, yeah. Because those are the things that have the higher sticker price, right? So if you want to go into a project and you're like, okay, I don't like how it looks, you don't want to spend money on the roof. You don't
Exactly.
want to spend money on your furnace.
You're already hemorrhaging on everything else.
Right, yeah, seriously, yeah. Okay, good. Well, anything else you want to say to wrap up?
No, I think, kind of what you touched on. If you're looking to get into the housing market, it was better 10 years ago. So if you didn't do it then let's do it now.
Yeah, let's do it now. I think that's the best advice, to definitely get into something today. So I just want to say thank you so much for listening to us today for our first podcast, and hope to see you soon.